The state of American journalism, the state of American democracy is not good. That is a sober warning. And I also wonder, I recognize what you say about the age of American exceptionalism when it comes to press freedom being over. What does that mean for journalists in other countries? You referenced that CPJ is an international organization, and you regularly publish the list of countries that are most dangerous for journalists, where journalists are jailed for months, years at a time. If journalists in America are being arrested, what does that mean for those countries where conditions were already dangerous for reporters?
Yeah, they're at even greater risk, I would say, because the United States has long been a traditional ally to freedom of the press and an advocacy ally, really, for those hoping to help journalists in difficult situations or seek justice and accountability for them overseas. And the fact of the matter is, the United States is no longer an advocate for press freedom in that way, and indeed, uh, we no longer have the type of press freedom that we enjoyed for so many years at home. We are living in a new safety paradigm. However, I will say that it's important for Americans and American journalists to look overseas and see examples of how journalists in other countries have handled declining democracy in their homes and how they have continued to report and document what's going on in their home countries.
Now, of course, my bias here is as a journalist, I find my fellow reporters trustworthy, but that is not necessarily the baseline case in America. And there are people, I am sure, who saw today's news and thought, yeah, that makes sense. He was arrested. Journalists are biased and don't tell the truth, and we can't trust the mainstream media. We've seen public polling around this, around public trust in the mainstream media. What is your message to those who might be following this news story and thinking, yeah, it's about time a journalist was arrested, or of course, journalists can't be trusted?
I would say, how do they find out about what's happening in their home communities? Do they care about the price of eggs, the price of gas, or how much their taxes are and how their tax dollars are being spent? And if the answer is yes, which I would assume it is, then they should care about journalists, especially local reporters, because journalists are serve as this kind of watchdog or accountability mechanism, really. That's what journalism does at its core, is keep government officials into account. And so I think it's a really important moment for the American public more broadly to take stock of what they are losing when freedom of the press is no longer guaranteed, and also to take stock of what narratives they're listening to, right? And who is benefiting from certain narratives versus others. And indeed, I think what's been in Minneapolis on the ground, we've seen how video footage of what is actually happening, how solid local reporting is helping people to understand the impact of deploying federal immigration agents in communities, and what that looks like, really. And I think this is perhaps, hopefully, a turning point for Americans to understand both the bigger picture of what the federal government is currently doing and how our tax dollars are being spent, and also, the role that journalists play in getting that information out.